Maruti Suzuki's People Technology presents Suzuki Connect with Navigate to Car and many other features.
Watch more, feel more. Dell.
Well, a last over that took a while, but how much have those last four overs changed the conversation and the context of this game? We'll find out. 67 is what Namibia have conceded after having New Zealand in some discomfort at the end of the 16th over. We'll see what Peter Borren and Ajit Agarkar made of it on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. Ajit, how much of those last four overs changed things now with New Zealand 163 for 4?
Oh, huge. I think, yeah, I mean, they're favorites now, isn't it? It looked like, what, 87 for 4 after the 14th over? So they've got a fair few, and particularly in the last 3.5 overs or so. Not great finish by Namibia. Perhaps the pressure got to them a little bit, trying to stay away from the shorter boundary. Couldn't quite execute, made a few mistakes, and New Zealand batsmen Phillips and Nisham made sure that they've got New Zealand out of jail. Of course, Namibia still have to bat, but you'd think that it's a very
Yeah.
good score.
Yeah, we said pre-match, Peter, that 160 and Namibia would feel like at least they're in the game. After watching that innings on this surface, is 160 above par?
Yeah, it is above par. I think we saw throughout the innings it wasn't easy, particularly for new batters coming in. And actually Namibia did do pretty well because every time a New Zealand batter, you saw their top four. What did they all make between 18 and 26, and you saw they went and run a ball, and you think that when they're about to launch, they lost the wicket. So that delayed. Well, in the end, was sort of maybe inevitable hitting, but we you thought you sort of was over the power play. Could have Abdul meant that the last 2 overs, the pattern. Williamson, just before he was going to probably launch, as we talked about before the game, he gets out for just over run a ball. Conway's run out. But in the end, Namibia are probably 1 wicket away because when you've Phillips and Nisham, pretty dangerous batters, and Namibia did do a good job until the end, and they did. It is difficult. Those are two guys. If you get it wrong with one short boundary, it's going to go, and you got to try and get the left-hander off strike or whichever one hitting to the longer boundary. But they just didn't manage that. Too many balls, which were gimme balls really with that short boundary, and then obviously it's got away from them. But Namibia were good for 80% of that. They'll be feeling pretty deflated right now, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen this before, Ajit. Just the advantage that's somewhat forfeited by bowlers when they bowl in the last few overs. Is it as simple as why don't you stick to the plans that have worked for you in the first 15, 16, or is there something else to it? Why suddenly bowlers start doing, going full as we were listing on commentary too, which seemed to be their downfall.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done, isn't it? I mean, you are bowling the last couple of overs. You almost feel that you have to try and outthink the batsman. Fuller, most occasions, is perhaps the way to go. But the fuller is, you're talking about Yorkers, not just full. I mean, there were a couple of balls which were nicely in the slot. Lots of wides bowled as well. Trying to get that wide Yorker right, and marginal, bit harsh in that last over, to be honest, couple of them. Uh, but yeah, but those are the sorts of things that you want to execute as a bowler under pressure, and it's not easy because it's a short boundary. Any error, they tried to then go back to bowling into the pitch a little bit. Then the couple just stand up, and the batsmen have enough time to pull it. So yeah, I mean, David Wiese, who's been so good throughout the course of the tournament, he didn't have his best over either. Just went away from the plan. Perhaps going for the left-hander, when he was bowling, the offside boundary was long, so he was trying to bowl wide there, and you can't always bowl a wide ball outside off the in the pitch. It's not the easiest ball to bowl, so he tried to go full, and he paid for it. So yeah, it's one of those things. If you can execute or finish well, I think they struggled the last time as well because these are tough overs to bowl, and the margin of error is very little, and New Zealand's taken advantage of it.
Do bowling plans have to change on days like this, Peter, other than what they've come into a game with, a set pre-plan with?
Well, we talked about it before the innings. They to be fair, they're not huge with the depth and bowling that they've got. They got bonus 4 overs out of Erasmus. I thought Eaton bowled, as they said on commentary, but it was quite clear he didn't really use the wicket. He tossed it up a little bit too much in his 2 overs. It'll be interesting to see what New Zealand do with their attack. I think there's a chance that maybe Phillips will rush through a few overs with his quickish off spin back of the length. I think that looks pretty useful on this track. But it's going to change for Namibia the way that they like to go about their template. With that score getting up to 163, they're going to have to. They can't really afford to need 15s at the back end. Instead, that's changed from maybe needing 10s with their solid start that they like to get. And but now they're going to have to go a little bit earlier. And as we talked about before the game, that's going to put more pressure on their middle order hitters. And I'm worried about Erasmus's finger. We saw against Pakistan. He struggled to grip the bat, and I mean he's a fantastic, he's an awesome batter. Even with his dismissal to Imad Wasim, giving himself room, he couldn't really hit through the ball. So that's probably a bit of a concern and a loss for them in what is a huge chase. The New Zealanders would have learnt from that first innings as well in terms of what to bowl. I expect it's going to be a very, very tough task for Namibia here.
Yeah, just before we leave, I have maybe a little word on Erasmus. I have a lot of admiration for him, Peter. And you mentioned that finger injury. He's got a broken finger on his right hand. He's bowling 4 overs of off spin. Williamson's wicket at that. But did he bowl 1 over too many? Could he have just not bowled that final over?
I actually think he was a good option. I think he would have not 1 over too many. I think he probably just bowled one ball that was a bit of a poor delivery to Phillips, the full toss. Because he was bowling quick into the pitch and I think that skidding through just the one full toss. So he went for 6 there. Otherwise, he's bowled 4 overs for 16. And he's a great captain. He's just a young guy, but he's got a mature head on his shoulders. It was a great run out that he got too to get rid of Conway. He's having a good tournament. I'm just worried about that finger. I saw a photo of it yesterday, and it looks pretty messy. So he's, it's pretty inspirational that he's even out there.
How do you see New Zealand bowling on this, Ajit?
I mean, I don't know. They might look if there is any swing, but that'll be only for a couple of balls each, or maybe 4 balls each in their first over. Into the pitch is the way to go. I think they've got heaps of experience, so you would expect them to. They'll try and bowl as straight as they can. That's the first thing, because anything back of the length or that in between length, it isn't easy to score off. Namibia might be thinking that they have to go hard in that first 6 to get as many as they can to reduce the pressure. So New Zealand bowlers are in with a chance, but they'll do the basics well. Southee's shown it throughout the tournament in spite of not having as much pace. And Trent Bolt is just a world-class bowler.
All right, simple as that. It's New Zealand's game again, but funny things have happened in cricket. India would be eyeing this game, hoping for Namibia to pull off a miracle. Let's see if they get close. It'd be a fun chase if they do. Peter Borren, Ajit Agarkar, more from you as this game comes to an end and build up to India versus Scotland later this evening. Join us then on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell.
Maruti Suzuki's People Technology presents Suzuki Connect with Navigate to Car and many other features.
Watch more, feel more, Dell.